I stomped it flat. He gave my dad a bandit crite. I immediately called the police. He soaked a poison dart frog in my grandpa's medicinal liquor, calling it fighting poison with poison. I poured out the whole jar that night. He knew my grandma loved to dig up herbs in the mountains, so he brought her back a branch from a deadly upas tree. I screamed at him to stop, but my whole family cursed me out. Leo knows enough to buy gifts to show respect for your dad, your grandpa, and me. What about you? All you do is ruin the mood. Don't think you're so special just because you went to college. Seeing he had their backing, my brother took a moment when I wasn't looking and splashed the toxic tree sap on my face. I died from the poison. Afraid it would ruin my brother's future, my parents told everyone I died from a drunken fall and hastily buried me on a barren slope in the mountains. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the night my brother brought home the Black Widow. My mother's face was a mask of terror, which quickly turned to an awkward plea as she looked at me. I walked over with a smile. Why are you looking at me like that? This is a token of Leo's love. You should accept it. Go on, take it. This time, without my help. Let's see you all accept his gifts, one by one, until you can't make a sound. Mom, this is for you. A grating, adolescent voice hit my ears, and I instinctively flinched, covering my face. Oh, our Leo is all grown up. So thoughtful. He knows how to respect his elders. Let Mom see what wonderful thing you brought. My brother, Leo, produced a palm-sized clear plastic box. With a flick of his finger, a black and red spider with long, spindly legs stood perched on his fingertip. The cheerful chatter in the room died instantly. My grandpa, the loudest of them all, put on his reading glasses, took one look, and quietly sat back down without another word. Leo, honey, what is that? A spider? My mother's voice trembled. My brother nodded. I watched it all unfold in a daze, taking a long moment to come back to my senses. This is my gift to you. They say it's a special species from Australia. I had to pull a lot of strings to get it. Here, take a closer look. Hearing this, my mom shot me a desperate, pleading look. It was only then that I realized I had been reborn. And just as before, I easily recognized the creature on my brother's finger. A highly venomous black widow spider. I knew what it was because I'd seen one at school. A student in the exotic pet club had one. During an open house event, it was part of a pet exhibition. The black widow tried to escape, and in a panic, a student volunteer reached out to grab it. The spider, acting in self-defense, bit him. Within minutes, the volunteer was dizzy and vomiting. Fortunately, they got him to the hospital in time. He spent 2 weeks in bed, but managed to pull through. That's why, in my past life, when my mom sent me that SOS signal, I rushed forward without a second thought, knocked the spider out of my brother's hand, and crushed it on the floor. I was about to explain, but my grandfather's angry voice cut me off. You worthless girl. Why did you have to waste my precious grandson's kind gesture? That's right. How could you, as the older sister, do something like that? When an elder is given a gift, you should be setting an example. Instead, you destroyed the present your brother gave your mother. It's outrageous, my grandmother added, jabbing a finger at my nose. Their scolding didn't make me angry at first. I just patiently explained that the creature was a black widow spider, a lethally venomous species. If one of us got bitten, given the mountain roads to get out of our village, we'd probably be dead before we even reached a hospital. The two old folks, still fuming, froze for a second. My brother waved his hands frantically, insisting it was just a common redback spider with a pretty pattern, and wasn't that poisonous. I frowned, about to argue further, when my grandpa snatched a plastic slipper and swung it at me. What bad luck for this family. Talking about dying on New Year's. I'll beat you to death. Getting smacked with a slipper for no reason. I felt completely railroaded. When I looked at my mom, she had a smug, gloating expression. Grace, you're too much, she said. Your brother just gave me a spider. Look, you stomped his heartfelt gift to pieces. I was the one they all blamed, even though my only goal was to help my mom. So this time, when I saw my mother's pleading gaze, I just gave her a faint smile. After all, what does it matter to me if you people live or die? Mom, what's wrong? You don't like my gift? Leo's eyes flashed with impatience as he looked at our mother. The black widow on his finger waved its legs in the air, as if searching for a new place to land. Donna, what are you doing? Are you going to refuse your own son's New Year's gift? My grandfather, his face flushed red, perhaps from the alcohol, yelled at my mom. This time, my mother's gaze was one of pure begging. Seeing this, I sighed inwardly. Not for my mom, but for the past version of myself who once held on to a sliver of hope for this family. Before I saw the wider world, I naively believed that my destiny was to marry a good man, and that a quiet life at home was the greatest happiness. That all changed when I used my education to change my fate, and left that small town for the first time. In high school, I only survived those difficult years thanks to the help of my teachers and my uncle's family. In college, to ease the burden on my parents, I once juggled 3 part-time jobs at the same time. While others took their lunch breaks, I was washing dishes in a kitchen. At night, I tutored until almost 11 p.m., and in the slivers of free time I could find, I wrote articles for submission. With a perseverance that seems incredible to me even now, I managed to win a national scholarship, was named a campus star, got into a great grad school, graduated with honors, and finally started a small company with my best friend. I used to understand and sympathize with my mom. She was always so meek in front of my dad, my grandparents, and even my brother, willing to compromise on everything for the sake of the family. But my sympathy shattered the day I found out my family owned 2 apartments in the city from a government buyout. And the real reason my brother never went to the same schools as me. After I died and learned all this, my understanding turned into resentment and confusion. I didn't understand her claims that she was doing things for my own good. I didn't understand why she always tried to keep me trapped in that small town. I didn't understand why she always came to me first when there was trouble, but was also the first to abandon me when things went wrong. Just like her plea for help right now. If I reached out a hand to save her, she would just pull me down to her level, then step on my shoulders to make me the one who suffers in her place. The heavens were watching. They gave me a second chance. So this time, I wouldn't lift a finger. Why are you looking at me like that? This is a token of Leo's love. You should accept it. Seeing my indifference, my mother seemed to age 10 years in an instant. Her mouth hung open, but no words came out. Grace, why are you? Oh, just take it, Mom. Hold it steady and it won't bite you. Don't lose it, this thing is hard to come by. My brother, losing his patience, flicked the black widow off his hand and turned to go back to his room, emerging with 2 other bags. The moment the black and red spider landed firmly in my mother's palm, it immediately raised its 2 front legs, facing her directly and swaying back and forth. My mother froze, too terrified to even breathe. Everyone else's attention shifted away from her. I glanced at my dad. He was calmly sipping his liquor, laughing and boasting to my grandpa about his exploits in the city. When he got to the important parts, he would glance at me and lower his voice. Unbelievable. A nameless rage flared up inside me. But the thought of what my idiot brother would bring out next made me settle back into my spectator role. After all, the next gift was the banded kite, the undisputed king of venomous snakes in the country. Not only that, but it was also a protected species. Someone dying here was one thing. But what would their reaction be if their precious son, their darling grandson, went to prison? With that thought, I secretly started a video recording on my phone, adjusted the volume, and found the best seat in the house to watch the show. Dad, this is your New Year's gift. It's a real treasure. Oh, let me see. My dad put down his glass and walked over excitedly. My brother cheerfully produced an even larger clear plastic box. Coiled inside was a snake with a triangular body, a black head, and dozens of black and white bands. This time, the object my brother presented was clearly more disturbing. The moment they saw it, the room fell so silent you could hear the snowflakes landing on the ground outside. Their reaction was almost identical to my past life. The biggest difference was that last time, I was furious after being hit and had screamed at the whole family until I was sobbing. Seeing me so fierce, they didn't dare say much, so their attention wasn't fully on my brother's gifts. But this time was different. Because I went along with them, they had found their entertainment in tormenting my mother and were in high spirits, naturally having high expectations for my brother's next gift. But when a deadly banded kite appeared before them, The psychological and physiological discomfort made them squirm. Wait! Wait! My grandfather shot up, grabbing his liquor glass. Living in the countryside for so long, my grandparents knew exactly how venomous a banded kite was. When I was little, I'd heard my grandma talk about someone in the village being bitten and killed by one years ago. In my past life, the moment I recognized it was a kite, I had tried to call the police, shouting that it was a protected species, and that possessing one without a license was illegal and would lead to prison time. It was obvious my brother's animals were all obtained through shady means, because the moment I said that, he started to cry. I really didn't know. I just wanted to bring some rare things home for the holidays to show respect to my elders and make everyone laugh. How could it lead to jail time? Sis, you've really got me all wrong. My brother, already the apple of my parents' eye, burst into tears, which immediately triggered their protective instincts. The whole family turned on me. My grandfather took off his shoe again, ready to hit me. My grandmother, with her sharp tongue, pointed at me as if I were her grandson's murderer. My dad grabbed my arm and started dragging me toward the door, yelling, "From now on, you're no daughter of mine. Now that you have a good job, we let you come home for the holidays to share in the good fortune, but all you do is say crazy things that upset your elders. Get out. I don't have a daughter like you." But what hurt the most was my mother. She stood alone in a corner, far from the crowd, looking at me with resentment and muttering, "I told that damn girl not to leave. She insisted on going out to make her own way. Now she's seen the world and all she does is bring trouble back home. Why can't she learn from her brother? Didn't even bring any gifts for her elders for the holidays." My already fragile heart was completely shattered. If I wasn't a good daughter, then where did the money for their city apartment come from? Where did my brother's car come from? They knew full well I had sent a huge shipment of seafood, which was still on its way, but they didn't mention it at all, making me out to be the bad guy both inside and out. In the end, it was my grandfather who rapped the table and told my dad not to get physical during the holidays for his sake. Dad let me go, but not before adding one last jab. "I told you girls shouldn't get an education. All they do is talk back all day. Just listen to what you're told. I'm warning you. Don't you dare call the police, or I'll beat you to death, you ungrateful brat." That sentence still echoes in my mind. So seeing the frozen smile on my dad's face and the look of impending doom on my grandparents' faces, I was very curious to see what they would do next. "Leo, that's a snake. It looks just like a kite." My grandfather held his glass with a trembling hand. My dad's outstretched arm was frozen in mid-air. My grandmother started to move toward my dad but hesitated and stopped. Only my mom, who didn't dare move because of the black widow in her hand, looked at me as if she was about to cry. But maybe it was my imagination. I felt a hint of venom in her eyes. If I hadn't secretly done a DNA test when I was older, I would have seriously doubted if I was their biological child. My brother opened the box. The snake wasn't large, but you could clearly see it coiled in a figure 8, its head tucked under its tail. Anyone who has dealt with aggressive snakes would know it was in a state of high alert and would strike at the slightest provocation. This was obvious not just to me, but to everyone except my mom, who was still standing there like a statue. My brother, holding the box with one hand, gave an embarrassed laugh and scratched his head. "Hey, don't be scared. The seller told me this snake isn't aggressive. Look, isn't its pattern beautiful?" With that, he reached out to touch it. "Don't move," my dad screamed. My brother, who had never been yelled at by my dad, jumped in fright. He then looked at our father with annoyance. "What's wrong? You don't like my gift either?" Although my grandmother was scared, she cautiously stepped forward with a forced smile. "Leo, honey, you're the only male heir in our family for 8 generations. Your father is just worried about you, he means well. How about this, you put it away for now?" She nudged my dad with her elbow. My dad immediately snapped out of it, quickly grabbing the lid. "Son, I appreciate the thought. Why don't we cover it up first, and I can admire it later?" My brother pouted, looking unhappily at our mother. "But Mom is holding hers. Why won't you even touch it? I told you it's not poisonous." My dad had no choice but to patiently reason with him. My grandpa joined in, saying that this type of snake had killed someone in the village before, and it was best not to keep it. My brother, who was just annoyed before, now looked like a child whose lie had been exposed. He looked at them in disbelief. Grandpa, what do you mean? Are you saying I would try to harm my own dad? I told you I asked someone, and this snake isn't aggressive. Is that what you really think of me? Seeing Leo throw a tantrum, my dad and Grandpa were at their wits' end. My grandmother yelled at my mom. Donna, what are you looking at? And you, Grace, aren't you going to come over and calm Leo down? What are you two doing standing there like wooden posts? Mom, the Black Widow had already crawled up my mom's arm to her cuff, looking like it was about to burrow into her sleeve. Grace, sweetie, can you come help your mom, please? My mom called to me again, anxiously stomping her feet. I pretended not to hear and shouted to my dad from a distance. Dad, that's a token of Leo's love for you. You should just take it. Otherwise, Leo will be so upset. Grace, you. My dad was about to explode, but he was cut off by my brother shouting even louder. Exactly. My sister understands me. Dad, just say it. Do you want it or not? Do you have any idea how long it took me to find such a beautiful snake? What a waste of my good intentions. The house was in chaos, but I had no desire to help them. After all, they were the ones who had raised my brother to be this way. But I remembered that in my past life, my uncle, who should have been here, was absent. It was his timely arrival that had saved the day he had snatched the box and sealed it before anything bad happened. Seeing my mom like this, I remembered it was she who had called him, saying they needed to deal with me, her ungrateful daughter. My uncle's family had long seen through these people. Although they still came back for the holidays, they never stayed with us. Just as my brother was about to say more, my dad had an idea. He grabbed the box, slammed the lid on, and then patted Leo's head. Good boy, Dad knows you mean well. Your grandpa likes his liquor, right? We'll use this snake to make some infused liquor later. My brother was stunned for a moment, having his gift snatched away. But since it was a gift, he couldn't really say much. He just mumbled, "Fine. But Grandpa, I have something for you too." Without my help, the rest of the family was already exhausted. My grandpa, who was just about to sit down and rest, shot up when he heard my brother's words, nervously looking at the third palm-sized clear plastic box Leo brought out. From a distance, all they could see was what looked like a blob of gooey golden paint. Leo, what's this? It looks like jelly. Hey, it's moving. Grandpa leaned in for a closer look, and then burst out laughing. Haha, it's just a little frog. My dad held the box while my grandma leaned against the wall. Hearing my grandpa say it was a frog, they both breathed a sigh of relief and started joking along. But I felt a chill run down my spine, because that was no ordinary frog. It was one of the most toxic species in the world, the golden poison dart frog. My brother opened the lid. A beautiful frog, its body shimmering as if coated in liquid gold, lifted its head and stared at my grandfather with its large, dark eyes. Grandpa was still delighted, even reaching out to poke it. Leo pulled the box back with a smile. Grandpa, this frog is gorgeous, but the person who sold it to me said it's best not to touch it with your hands. You might rub off its natural coating. Grandma came over for a look. After confirming it was just a frog, she chuckled too. Leo, this frog really is pretty. Do you know what it's called? Hearing someone ask, my brother proudly puffed out his chest again. Of course I know. It's called a golden poison dart frog. Grandma, who was about to touch the frog, quickly pulled her hand back and cautiously asked, "A poison frog?" "It's fine, Grandma. It's just part of the name. I don't think it's actually that poisonous. Otherwise, why would someone be selling it?" It wasn't the first time I'd heard my brother say something idiotic, but to actually hear someone articulate that thought, he sounded like a brain-damaged child. Oh, it's just a name, so what if it's a poison frog? Haven't you ever heard of fighting poison with poison? That toad we caught in the fields, old Mr. Miller next door said it was poisonous too, but after we soaked it in liquor, nothing happened. Grandpa shot Grandma a glare, then turned back to my brother with a grin, reaching for the box. Leo looked reluctant. Grandpa, this frog is really rare. It cost a lot of money. Wouldn't it be a waste to use it for liquor? Hearing that the poison dart frog was valuable made Grandpa even happier. He took the box and walked over to a large jar filled with a random assortment of things soaking in alcohol. Leo, the more valuable the ingredient, the better the effect. Look at this jar of mine. I've been adding all sorts of medicinal herbs to it over the years. It's practically a divine elixir. The culture of medicinal liquor is long and profound. I have to tell you all about it. As he spoke, Grandpa twisted open the lid of the jar. A rich, mellow aroma of alcohol wafted through the air. But as I watched that poison dart frog drop into the liquor, I could already foresee the deaths of certain people. Son, put the snake Leo gave you in here too. Grandpa called to my dad. The two of them carefully opened the lid and dumped the snake straight into the jar. Leo, come take a look this. My brother had no time for Grandpa's rambling. He went back to his room and came out holding a small bottle of milky white liquid and a thick, arm-length wooden branch. Grandma, look what I brought you. Hearing she also had a gift, Grandma scurried over beaming. When I saw the bottle containing the sap of the upas tree, my head spun and I felt unsteady on my feet. It was that very bottle. The moment my brother mentioned what the wood was, I should have guessed the liquid was upas tree sap, an incredibly lethal poison. In my past life, after my huge outburst, I was still worried my brother would pull some other deadly stunt, so I didn't leave with my aunt. I chose to stay. Despite my desperate attempts to stop them, showing them videos and encyclopedia entries, I couldn't prevent my dad and Grandpa from tossing the crite and the golden poison dart frog into the liquor jar. The snake venom was one thing, it's a protein, and the alcohol would likely denature it, rendering it harmless. But the frog's poison is batrachotoxin, and putting that in liquor was basically a death wish. So while they weren't looking, and while my brother was busy explaining the miraculous medicinal properties of the upas tree, I grabbed the small liquor jar and ran to the bathroom to pour it all out. The last time I sternly warned my brother to stop messing with these things, I noticed the way my whole family looked at me had changed. Besides my brother, who seemed a little afraid of me, my grandpa was, as usual, chasing me with his slipper. My dad had a grim look on his face as he unbuckled his belt. My grandma and mom stood to the side sneering. I asked them what they thought they were doing, but they remained unnervingly silent. That was the first and last time I asked my mom to save me. Mom, why are you looking at me like that? Didn't I help you? My mom spat on the ground as if trying to ward off something unclean. I was too easy on you before. You go off to college for a bit and suddenly you think you're better than everyone, she yelled. Leo knows enough to buy gifts to show respect for your dad, your grandpa, and me. What about you? All you do is ruin the mood. Don't think you're so special just because you went to college. Before she could finish, I saw my brother rush at me. A splash of white liquid hit my face. In that instant, I felt a burning, gel-like liquid slide down my throat. Then my eyes, nose, throat, and stomach erupted in fiery pain. I writhed on the floor in agony, reaching for my phone, but my grandpa kicked it away, his breath reeking of alcohol. Stop faking. You can't handle a little splash of water? In all my years, I've never seen such a drama queen. My pain scream slowly died down as the poison took effect. I felt my consciousness fading. The world went gray, and then nothing. Half an hour passed. Seeing that I hadn't moved, my brother nudged my arm with his foot. When he confirmed I was no longer breathing, my grandma immediately asked if they should call for an ambulance. But my parents said in unison, no. My dad shot my mom a look, and she lowered her head and stepped back. My brother looked like he'd been struck by lightning, trembling uncontrollably. My mom rushed over to hug and comfort him. Then my dad spoke. Dad, Mom, it was Grace's own fault. She wasn't careful, got drunk, and fell to her death. My grandpa was still in shock. My grandma, however, looked a little hesitant. But. No buts. The damn girl brought this on herself. Grandpa shrieked. My dad stepped forward to support Grandma. Even if you're not thinking about yourself, you have to think about us, about Leo. He's failed to get into college for 4 years and has to try again this year. If we call the police, Leo's life is over. My mom chimed in. That's right. It's all Grace's fault. She does nothing but defy her elders all day. She must have had too much to drink and fell. She shot a disgusted look at my corpse. After a flurry of discussion, my grandma felt dizzy and went back to her room. Later that night, they wrapped my body in a mat and buried me on a desolate hill. Leo, don't be afraid. Our family still has 2 apartments in the city from the buyout. Even without your sister's money, we can live a good life. Perhaps even the heavens couldn't stand it anymore. After I heard that final conversation between my mother and brother, I was reborn. Me. My phone vibrated, signaling that the video recording had reached its maximum file size. At the same time, a scream erupted from the dining table. It was my mom. Leo. Honey. The spider bit me. It bit me. I watched my mom do a frantic dance, flinging the spider to the floor and stomping it dead. Bam. Grandpa slammed his hand on the table and pointed at my mom. Donna, what are you doing? Why did you have to waste my precious grandson's kind gesture? My brother was also annoyed. Mom, what are you doing? It's just a spider bite. What's the big deal? And you killed it, seriously. Do you know how hard it was to get that spider? My dad added, exactly. Just go wash it with soap and water in the bathroom. Stop making such a fuss. My mother, her hair a mess, looked at them all, then turned away, seemingly wiping a tear. Then she looked at me again. I had already packed my things and was ready to leave. Just like when I arrived, no one cared. And as I left, no one noticed. Grace, you're here. Kumain. Kumain. It must have been cold on the way. Hurry inside and warm up by the fire. When I knocked on my uncle's door, my aunt immediately grabbed my hands. What took you so long? My dad said he called you a bunch of times. Come on, let's play some games. My cousin, lounging on the sofa, saw me and waved his phone. Get up. Don't sit in your cousin's spot, my uncle said, giving my cousin a light smack on the back and motioning for him to make room for me. For a moment I was dazed. It felt like this was what a real family was supposed to be like. After putting my things down and taking a seat, my aunt brought me a cup of hot water, her eyes full of sympathy. Oh, our Grace is such a good, strong kid. How did she end up born into? My aunt had always been a good person. She helped me through the toughest period of my life, treating me like her own daughter. Before they formally split from my dad's side of the family, they even tried to adopt me, but I was still weighed down by too much moral baggage back then. All right, she's back now, and that's what matters. Grace, you'll stay here. We've already prepared a room for you. Whatever your mom says, I'll handle it. Don't you worry, my uncle said, patting his chest. My cousin mimicked him, making all 4 of us burst out laughing. Back in my room, I took out my laptop and opened my video editing software. Later that night, I was woken up by a frantic knocking on my door. Grace, I'm so sorry to wake you, but something's happened at your house. My heart tightened. I quickly threw on my clothes and rushed over to my grandparents' house. Before I left, I made a quick phone call. By the time I arrived, a crowd had already gathered. An ambulance was parked at the door, and paramedics were rushing in and out. 3 stretchers were carried out of the house one by one, carrying my mom, my dad, and my grandpa. When he saw me, my brother, with a tear-streaked face, immediately grabbed my clothes and started wailing. Cease. You're finally here. What took you so long? Mom, Dad, and Grandpa, it's awful. The clueless onlookers turned to look at us. Some even took out their phones to take pictures. I glanced at my brother. He was pretending to wipe away tears, but was secretly watching the crowd's reaction. Fine, you want to act? I'll play along. I shoved him away, ran to the paramedics, and dropped to my knees, grabbing a nurse's leg and bursting into tears, snot and tears streaming down my face. Mom, what happened to you? I told you not to take the spider from my brother. How did it come to this? Hearing the words brother and spider, more people started raising their phones. My brother panicked. His expression changed instantly, and he ran over to pull me up, trying to stop me from talking. As if I was a veteran of the school drama club. You think I'm scared of a moron who couldn't even get into community college after 4 years? Wah. Brother, don't pull me. I know you didn't mean to give her the spider, and you didn't mean to give Dad the kite or Grandpa the poison dart frog, but you shouldn't have given them to them at all. Wah. I made sure to cry as loudly as possible, which meant I was also speaking as loudly as possible. My brother, who only knew a life of indulgence, had no idea how to handle this. Exposed, he ran back into the house. My grandma stood by, wanting to say something, but with so many people watching, she didn't dare. You bitch. Just then, a shrill cry came from the house. My brother emerged with a small bottle, twisting off the cap and preparing to splash its contents on my face. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Police sirens shattered the night's peace once more. A police car pulled up and 2 officers got out. We received a report of someone illegally trafficking protected animals and attempting to assault someone with poison. At the sound of the officer's voice, my brother froze, not daring to move. Someone in the crowd yelled, "Officer, it's that guy. He has poison in his hand. He was about to throw it on that young woman." My brother had never been in a situation like this. His legs gave out, and he collapsed to the ground. I dusted myself off, stood up, and nodded to the approaching officers. The chaotic night passed. My brother, my grandmother, a few willing witnesses, and I all went to the police station. My grandfather had a heart attack on the way to the hospital and died. My parents were admitted to the ICU. It was from the police that I learned what happened that night. In the middle of the night, my mom developed a high fever and had trouble breathing. She wanted to go to the hospital, but my dad, annoyed at being woken up, just got up to find some medicine for her. Grandpa, woken by the noise, first cursed at my mom, then decided to try his newly infused liquor. He collapsed after just 1 sip. By then, my brother and grandmother were also awake. In a panic, Grandma immediately called for an ambulance. My dad, suspecting the liquor was the problem, went to check it. But as he opened the lid, the banded kite, which had coiled up inside the cap, bit him. The wound was instantly excruciating. By the time the ambulance arrived, all 3 were unconscious on the floor. This wasn't a happy ending, not really. The person who most deserved punishment was still fine. I provided the police with a video. In the video, my brother gives my mom the Black Widow, my dad the kite, my grandpa the poison dart frog, and my grandma the Upas tree sap. He clearly states what they are, how he bought them, and entices them to use these deadly things. No matter what, a string of criminal charges awaited my brother. A few days later, I received a call from the hospital. My parents were awake, but their condition was not optimistic. I was a little surprised to hear this. My brother had already tried to escape to avoid prison, and was now caught and locked up. I hadn't expected my parents to survive. When I arrived at the hospital, I was met with another unexpected sight. My mother's face was severely ulcerated for some reason. The doctor said it was a side effect of the spider venom not being treated in time. Because the damage was so severe, she would likely be bedridden for the rest of her life. She lay paralyzed on the bed, a look of complete despair on her face. Due to the neurotoxins from the Black Widow, she couldn't move yet, and her speech was slurred and mostly unintelligible. After the nurse left, I was about to take out the soup I'd bought downstairs, but the memory of her cruelty in my past life filled me with rage, and I decided to just leave. Just then, my eyes met my mother's. I could see it clearly: unwillingness, anger, and regret. "Why, yeah," she managed to force out. I was taken aback and leaned in closer without thinking. "What?" After a long moment, I finally understood what she was saying. "Why did you get to escape?" In that moment, the puzzle that had plagued my entire life found its most logical, and yet most illogical answer. I stood there for a long time, just staring at my mother's disfigured face. "But aren't I your daughter? Aren't I your own flesh and blood?" I murmured in disbelief. In response, I saw her glaring at me with pure hatred, her hand, previously immobile, struggling to rise. I realized what she wanted. She wanted to hit me. Ha! I slammed her hand back down. She stared at me in shock. Ha 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 ha. It was laughable. So utterly laughable. Just then, I noticed something useful on the bedside table. A mirror. "My dearest mother, let me show you something." I held the mirror up to her face. A sound more horrific than a banshee's scream filled the room. I calmly walked out of the ward, taking the unopened container of chicken soup with me. My father wasn't so lucky. Because of the delay in treatment, he lasted less than 3 days in the ICU before he passed away. A few months later, I received the verdict for my brother's case. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison for a dozen crimes, including trafficking protected animals, intentional homicide, assault and battery. Only after I received the paperwork did I find out just how much trouble my stupid, uneducated brother had gotten into before. Of course, none of that had anything to do with me anymore. He could forget about those 2 city apartments for the rest of his life. And I knew just how advanced modern medicine was. Unless you reach absolute rock bottom, it's hard to die even if you want to. So the next time I saw my mom, even though she couldn't speak or move, I told her everything. And the fact that her precious son was in prison. I can't describe the despair and regret in her eyes at that moment, but as I left, I knew one thing for sure. What did the life or death of her family have to do with me? After all, my future was stretched out before me, bright and wide open. The end. After our final high school exams, the whole class decided to go on a graduation trip together to a campsite on a mountaintop. I was about to add my name to the group payment list when a wall of text suddenly appeared before my eyes. Side character, pay up. I can't wait for the camping trip tomorrow night when she gets dragged into the woods by some fugitives and assaulted until she's crippled. Once she goes insane, our girl will be the only daughter of the Song family. LOL. The side character actually thinks her childhood sweetheart is going to confess to her on the trip. She has no idea that tomorrow night he's going to drug her with sleeping pills, then go to the tent next door and give his first time to our girl, hee hee. After reading the comments, I immediately removed my name from the payment list. But as soon as I did, there was a frantic knocking on my door. Anna, dear, Ashley told me you didn't pay for the graduation trip. Are you short on money? Your auntie will transfer you some right now. My stepmom's anxious voice came from outside the door. I froze. I opened the door, and my stepmom, her face wreathed in smiles, stuffed a bank card into my hand. Anna, a high school graduation trip only happens once in a lifetime. How could you not go? Are you out of money? Here. This card has $20,000 in it. Consider it a graduation gift from your auntie. Then she urged. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and add your name to the group chat list. Holding the card, I asked, Auntie, how did you know I removed my name from the payment list in the class group chat? My stepmom's expression stiffened for a second before she forced a laugh. Oh, I heard it from Ashley. I was even more confused. But Ashley isn't in my class group chat. My stepsister and I were children of a blended family. I was the daughter of my dad and his first wife. My mom died in a car accident, and less than a month later, my dad brought Wendy Ning and her daughter home. My stepsister is a year younger than me. Her name was originally Lu Xian, but after her mom married into our family, she immediately changed it to Ashley Song to suck up to my dad. Although Ashley and I went to the same school, I was a graduating senior, and she was a junior. We weren't even in the same grade. How would Ashley know that I'd backed out of the payment in my class group chat? Under my intense stare, Ashley panicked and stammered. I heard it from a classmate. Maybe my classmate's older brother or sister is in your grade. Just then the text appeared again. The male lead, Landon Liu, told her. Ugh, the side character is so annoying. Just take the money and go. Why ask so many questions? Right. If she hadn't backed out, the male lead could have seen our girl in that cute sailor outfit just now. The male lead has been video chatting with our girl all night. Of course he tells her everything. Seeing the comments, my mind went blank. The male lead? Landon Liu? The same Landon Liu I grew up with, my childhood sweetheart? When did he and Ashley get together? Landon and I grew up together. We lived in the same rundown neighborhood as kids. Back then, my parents were just starting their business, and were so poor we could only afford to live there. Landon was an illegitimate son abandoned by his mother, living with his grandparents in the rental next door. The neighborhood wasn't safe. One day, I was walking home alone late from school, and was almost abducted. At the critical moment, Landon rushed over, bit the kidnapper hard, and pulled me away, and we ran for our lives. From that day on, I followed him around like a little shadow for 12 years. Later, my parents' business took off, and we moved to a wealthy neighborhood. At a party, I recognized Landon's biological father. Through me, Mr. Liu learned of Landon's existence. Around that time, The Liu family's eldest son fell gravely ill. Probably worried that his heir wouldn't make it, Mr. Liu convinced his wife to bring Landon into the family and officially recognize him. When Landon first joined the Liu family, he was a despised illegitimate son. And I, because of my mother's sudden death and my stepmother's arrival, had become a pitiful, unwanted child. We supported each other through the most difficult years of our adolescence. I helped him stand up to the humiliation from the other rich kids. He helped me deal with my sweet-talking, cold-hearted stepmother. Later, the Liu family's eldest son went abroad for treatment, and Landon gradually gained his father's favor. I remembered Landon's promise to me, how he swore to protect me for life. I also remembered him telling me that as soon as he turned 18, he would come to my house to propose, and we would get engaged. That way, my dad and stepmom would have no reason to force me into an arranged marriage with someone I didn't like. I had foolishly waited for Landon to save me. I never imagined that in the end, the first person to push me into the abyss would be Landon himself. My thoughts returned to the present. I saw the comments saying that Landon and my stepsister, Ashley, were planning to use the graduation trip to ruin my reputation. With my personality, I would definitely reject Landon's confession afterward. But the Liu and Song families had already discussed a marriage alliance. If I actively rejected Landon, he would have a legitimate reason to get engaged to my stepsister instead. After reading the comments, I felt like I'd been plunged into an ice bath. Then Ashley picked up my phone from the table and forced it into my hand. "Sister, the sign-up for your class trip is about to end, right? You should hurry and pay. A high school graduation trip is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Besides, Landon is going this time too. Don't you want to go on a trip with him?" The phone in my hand suddenly felt searing hot. I tried to stall for time, forcing a smile. "Okay, well, I'll call Landon first to see if he's signed up." "Landon already signed up," my stepsister said eagerly. "How do you know he signed up?" I stared at her, my gaze sharp. Meeting my eyes, my stepsister panicked for a second, then stammered, I guessed. You and Landon are so close, he would definitely go on the graduation trip with you, right?" I looked up, and the dense wall of text appeared in midair again. Our poor girl, secretly in love with her sister's boyfriend, has to watch him go on a graduation trip with her sister. It's okay. The male lead just wants to see our girl get jealous for him. He actually already paid for her ticket, and is planning to bring her along as his guest. So sweet, I'm dying. What's wrong with the side character? It's just a simple payment. Why is she dragging it out? Just pay already. Fast forward. I want to see the male lead and our girl's sweet and thrilling forbidden romance. I felt a chill run through me, but my fingers, as if with a will of their own, dialed Landon's number. "Landon, are you busy?" "Yeah, still gaming with the guys." "What's up?" "If it's nothing, I'm gonna hang up." Hearing his dismissive tone, I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. So he'd been sick of me for a while now. How did I only just realize it? Forcing down the sour feeling in my chest, I fought back tears and asked, "Ashley said you're coming on the graduation trip with me. Is that true?" I deliberately set a trap in my question. But Landon, eager to get back to his video call with my stepsister, fell right into it. "Yeah, of course. Haven't you been looking forward to the high school graduation trip? Why'd you cancel your payment? Come on, go add your name back to the group. Are you short on cash? I can cover it for you." Hearing Landon's response, the last bit of hope in my heart died. My childhood sweetheart, who swore he would marry no one but me. He was really fooling around with the stepsister I hated the most. But 12 years of shared history, I didn't want to give up so easily. My voice was hoarse as I said, almost pleading into the phone, "Landon, I don't want to go camping with the class anymore. You know I've always been afraid of the dark. Will you go to Norway with me instead? Just the two of us. I heard it's the midnight sun in Norway in July, and I want to see it." Before I could finish, Landon cut me off impatiently. "Anna Song, when did you become so selfish and antisocial? It's a graduation trip. Of course the whole class should go together. Didn't you see the group chat? You suddenly canceling your payment. What do you think your classmates will think? Besides, how old are you? Still playing the afraid of the dark card? Aren't you embarrassed? That's enough. Get back in the group chat and pay." And with that, before I could react, he hung up. Hearing his scolding over the phone, my stepsister smirked triumphantly. "See, sister? I wasn't lying. Landon really did sign up. You should too." I loved Landon very much, but I loved myself more. Knowing this graduation trip was dangerous, I certainly wasn't going to be stupid enough to sign up. I casually plugged my phone into charge and said to my stepsister, "My phone's dead. I'm going to take a shower first. I can sign up after." I never expected that when I came out of the shower and checked my phone, the group payment had already closed. And my name was right there, at the bottom of the list of paid attendees. But I had a password on my phone. Who paid for me? In an instant, a name flashed in my mind, Landon Liu. It had to be him. In this entire world, only Landon knew my phone's lock screen password. Because my password was the date he saved me from the kidnappers. The thought that Landon had so carelessly shared a secret I treasured with my stepsister filled me with anger and bitterness. But the most pressing matter was to cancel the payment immediately. I quickly sent a private message to the class president who organized the trip, telling her I wasn't feeling well and wanted to pull out of tomorrow's graduation trip. Fortunately, the class president had just confirmed the payments and hadn't given the money to the travel agency yet. Hearing I was sick and couldn't go, she quickly transferred the money back. I let out a quiet sigh of relief, but noticed the class president seemed to be hesitating. "Is something else wrong?" The class president was silent for a moment on the other end, then asked cautiously, "Anna, did you know that your sister is also coming on the trip with us?" Of course I knew. The mysterious comments had already spoiled it for me. Seeing that I didn't say anything, the class president immediately came to my defense. "I really don't know what Landon is thinking. He actually used the family member spot to sign up your sister. I thought you two were a couple. Anna, maybe you should still come with us. I'm afraid if you don't, Landon and your sister." The students in our top magnet program weren't stupid. The class president had clearly sensed that Landon was interested in my stepsister. But since my stepsister and I were family, she didn't want to cause any drama, so she could only hint that I should be wary of her and not let her steal my boyfriend. I gave a bitter smile, not wanting to refuse her kindness, and just mumbled that I would think about it. A little while later, the class president called me again. "Anna, I misunderstood Landon. He's actually really good to you. He heard you requested a refund and immediately paid for you again. It seems he really does care about you. So it's settled. We'll meet at the school gate at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Landon said he'll come pick you up." After hanging up, I felt a bone-deep chill. Why? If he had fallen out of love with me, if he didn't like me anymore, couldn't he just say so? We could have broken up amicably. Why did he have to try to kill me? Just then, the text above my head appeared once more. The comments suddenly split into two factions, arguing fiercely. One side said, "Anna Song has to go on the graduation trip. If she doesn't go, nothing will happen to her. If nothing happens, how can our girl become the sole heiress of the Song family?" Exactly. The male lead's mother has always looked down on our girl for not being a real Song, and for not having a big dowry. If the side character doesn't get taken out, how can our girl inherit the billions in dowry left by the side character's mother? The other side argued. I'm starting to feel weird about this. Isn't the female lead's character supposed to be all pure and above worldly desires? Why is she trying to take the dowry her mother left for the side character? I also think the male lead's character is falling apart. If he wants the female lead to have a grand wedding, he should earn the money himself. Why does he have to kill the side character and steal her dowry? The female lead's character has collapsed too, right? She was supposed to be the non-confrontational type, but now she's stealing her sister's boyfriend and her dowry? I feel kinda bad for the side character. She was the one who went through thick and thin with the male lead. Now that he's about to inherit his family's business, he's fallen for his own sister, wants to kill her, and use her dowry for his new girl. I really can't ship such a disgusting couple. That's right. The loyal wife helped me reach the clouds, and I sent my loyal wife to her grave. That, I suppose, was the ending Landon had planned for me. But why should I be the one to die? The class president told me that since Landon had paid the travel agency directly, It was too late for a refund. I immediately opened my phone and bought the next train ticket to my grandma's house. Worried about being discovered by my stepmom and stepsister, I didn't dare pack much, just a backpack with a warm jacket, my ID, and some cash. But just then, I suddenly realized my bedroom door had been locked from the outside. I couldn't open it no matter what. I was shocked and furious. Just as I was about to call Mr. Lewis, the butler, I heard my stepsister's voice from outside. "Sister, where do you think you're going so late at night? Landon just told me to keep a close eye on you. He's coming to pick you up personally at 7 tomorrow morning." I pounded on the door shouting, "Open the door. If you don't, I'm calling the police." My stepsister giggled. "Sorry, sister. I just remembered I installed a cell phone jammer in the house. I don't think there's any signal right now." I checked my phone. Sure enough, no signal. I slumped to the floor, defeated. Was I really fated to die at the hands of Landon and Ashley? Just as the comments said, to make way for their forbidden love? No. There had to be another way. The next morning, Landon, as expected, arrived in a Lou family car to pick up Ashley and me. My stepmom beamed as she pushed the three of us out the door. "Ashley, listen to your big brother Landon, and take good care of your sister, okay?" Looking at my stepmom's malicious eyes, I knew she was in on Landon and Ashley's plot. Once in the car, the cell phone jammer in the villa was out of range. I quickly sent a pre-written text message and then closed my eyes, feigning anger. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Landon and Ashley sitting close together. The familiar stream of comments appeared before my eyes again. Ah, so thrilling. The male lead looks so proper on the surface, but one of his hands has already slipped behind our girl and unhooked her bra. Our girl is getting all weak in the knees from his touch. She really is a natural-born enchantress. That's nothing. Just an appetizer. Remember that time the side character had a bad cold? The male lead deliberately gave her a double dose of cold medicine. While the side character was passed out in her room, the male lead was in the room next door, pinning our girl against the wall, teasing her mercilessly, and asking if it was exciting. Oh my God, that's too hot. I closed my eyes, biting my lip hard as tears welled up. Why, Landon Lou, I can say with confidence that I have never wronged you in my life. I went through so much hardship with you, endured so much humiliation. Even if your feelings changed, even if you didn't like me anymore, you shouldn't have degraded me like this. A towering hatred filled my heart. Landon Lou, you better not make a move. Otherwise, I'll show you what it means for all your plans to come to nothing. The tour bus drove deeper and deeper into the mountains, the road becoming more remote. After more than an hour on the mountain road, we finally reached the campsite at the summit. I was in line to get a tent when Landon suddenly reached out and took the tent from my hands. "Anna, you're not feeling well. Go rest over there. I'll set up the tent for you." The other students started teasing us good-naturedly. My stepsister's face flushed red with anger. She said through gritted teeth, "Sister, Landon is so good to you. I hope you really enjoy the tent he pitched for you tonight." I just smiled and sat to the side, observing them discreetly. I watched as Landon deliberately skipped the busy central area of the campsite, bypassed the safest stargazing platform, and walked straight to a secluded corner near the woods. I pretended to be looking at the scenery, but I was actually glued to the rapidly scrolling text in front of me. The male lead is so bad. In a bit, he's going to trick the side character by saying he pitched the tent so far away for them to have some private time. But it's actually to get away from everyone else, so he can get it on with our girl, hee. Poor side character. When she's getting dragged into the woods and tortured by those fugitives, she'll be screaming the male lead's name. Too bad he'll be wearing noise-canceling headphones our girl put on him. Hee, double the thrill. Finally, the plot is moving along. After tonight, the side character will be assaulted and crippled, waking up in the hospital completely insane. Once her mom sends her to a mental institution, all that dowry from her mother will belong to our girl. Among the dense comments, there were a few voices speaking up for me. Does anyone else think the main characters are going too far? If the male lead doesn't like the side character, he could just break up with her. Why does he have to drug her and let those fugitives completely destroy her? And the female lead too. She hears her sister being dragged into the woods and deliberately puts noise-canceling headphones on the male lead? The female lead is too vicious. Side character girl, please don't sleep in that tent tonight. Find another classmate to bunk with, safety first. Exactly. There are only 2 tents near that patch of woods. Side character, don't stay there. It would be hilarious if those fugitives grabbed the scumbag and the bitch instead. The comments gave me an idea. The class president brought back a case of cold drinks. I grabbed a bottle of iced milk and chugged it down. A short while later, my stomach started to hurt. I ran to the bathroom 3 or 4 times in half an hour. By the time Landon had finished setting up both tents and came to find me, I was already lying in a classmate's tent, clutching my stomach, my face pale with pain. What's wrong? Did you eat something bad? Landon frowned at me. I nodded weakly. It was too hot earlier, and I accidentally drank a whole bottle of iced milk. Now I have diarrhea. Landon's expression soured. Anna, are you doing this on purpose? Just because I brought Ashley along, you're jealous and faking sick, so I have to take care of you. My stepsister had followed him over. Hearing Landon's words, her eyes immediately welled up with tears. Sister, I really didn't mean to intrude on you and Landon. If you're unhappy, I'll leave right now. Seeing Ashley's pitiful act, Landon's heart ached for her. He grabbed her hand and said to me sternly, Anna, there's a limit to jealousy. Ashley is your sister. How can you insult her with such disgusting thoughts? Apologize to Ashley right now. And the tent is set up for you. Move over there immediately. I didn't say a word. The classmate whose tent I was in, looking completely fed up, snapped back for me. Landon, are you blind? Can't you see Anna's stomach hurts so much she can't even stand up? She's this sick, and you want her to move. The class president also chimed in disapprovingly. Anna's not feeling well. She should probably just stay with us tonight. We're closer to the portable toilets here. Landon, I saw the spot you picked. It's so far from the main campsite, it's not convenient for using the bathroom. Anna should just stay here. That won't work. Landon and Ashley said in unison. Everyone gave them a strange look. Ashley put on her mask again and said to the class president, It's better for my sister to stay in her own tent. If she really needs help, I can take care of her tonight. Landon nodded in agreement. Didn't the tour guide bring some anti-diarrhea medicine? Give Anna a couple of pills, let her get a good night's sleep, and she might be fine by tomorrow. Watching them go back and forth, every word dripping with the desire to see me dead, I covered my mouth. A wave of physiological nausea made me start vomiting violently. My condition scared the class president and the other students. Even the tour guide was alerted. Seeing me with vomiting and diarrhea, he made a decisive call. This is not good. We have to get her to a hospital immediately. The class president, looking serious, took out his phone to call. Landon rushed over and snatched the phone from his hand. No need to call. Ashley and I will take Anna to the hospital. It seemed they were determined to destroy me today. Suddenly, the roar of a helicopter came from outside the tent. A tall figure lifted the tent flap and walked in. Uncle. Overjoyed, I threw myself into my uncle's arms and burst into tears. The truth was, after my mother passed away, my grandmother had sent my uncle to the Song family to try and take me back with them. But at the time, my dad and stepmom, coveting the massive dowry my mom had left me, had begged me to stay. Plus, I was reluctant to leave my childhood sweetheart, Landon. So I refused my grandmother and uncle. Thankfully, my grandmother and uncle never forgot about me. This morning, as soon as the car was out of the cell phone jammer's range, I immediately sent a help message to both my uncle and grandmother. The message contained the detailed time and location of our class camping trip. I had expected them to send someone to pick me up. I just didn't expect such a grand entrance. My uncle brought 2 helicopters, a medical team, and 8 bodyguards. As my uncle carried me out of the tent, I caught a glimpse of Landon and my stepsister's faces out of the corner of my eye. They looked like they had seen a ghost. My stepsister bit her lip, seemingly unwilling to give up, and tried to persuade me. Sister, are you really going to give up your once-in-a-lifetime high school graduation trip? Don't you want to know what Landon was going to say to you tonight? Landon also walked over his tone a mix of threat and persuasion. Anna, think carefully. If you leave now, I'll have to spend the rest of the graduation trip with just Ashley. I fought the urge to tear into him right then and there, instead pretending to look downcast. Landon, I'm really confused right now. Can you just let me be alone for a bit, please? Mistaking my reaction for jealousy over him and my stepsister, a smug smile flashed across Landon's face. He deliberately took my stepsister's hand in front of me and stepped aside. Anna, the trip is 3 more days. I'll give you 2 days to think it over. If you haven't rejoined the group by the last day, I'll have no choice but to take Ashley to the next stop. I nodded slightly, but inside I was sneering. Just a moment ago, the mysterious text had appeared again. Did Ashley really think a little bit of money would make those desperate criminals obey her? The text told me that those men were fugitives on the most wanted list, already planning to escape by sea. Somehow, Ashley had found them and told them a group of high school graduates would be camping here. She told them she would arrange for a lone girl to be in the tent near the woods, and they could feel free to drag this girl out and have a taste. Have a taste, huh? Ashley, this time I left early. I'd like to see how you're going to give those desperados a taste when you can't produce the person you promised. Before I left, I secretly sent private messages to the class president and a few other class officers. I told them that camping in the wilderness required extra caution, and it was best for everyone to pitch their tents close together at night. The other students, for safety's sake, would surely follow this advice. But Landon and Ashley? They might not be so obedient. Sure enough, as night fell, the comments became active again. Whoa. I thought with the side character gone, the main couple's first time would be less exciting, but I didn't expect our girl to be so wild. So thrilling. The female lead actually pulled the male lead into the side character's tent, deliberately wore the side character's pajamas, and used the pajama belt to blindfold the male lead, making him think she was the side character. What is this? Some kind of reverse stand-in plot? I love it, more please. Ha 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 ha, our girl. Why are you wearing your sister's pajamas? The iconic lines just keep getting better. If you're going to chase thrills, you might as well go all the way. Imagining the two of them fooling around in my tent, I almost threw up the restorative soup I had just drunk. Thankfully, it was all about to end, because the comments told me that the desperate criminals had already found the tent where I was supposed to be. The moment the tent flap was ripped open, Ashley let out a short, sharp scream. But as soon as she saw who it was, she immediately shut her mouth. What are you guys doing here? Didn't I message you and tell you not to come? The leader, a man with a scar across his face, looked at my stepsister with a sinister gaze, then at the soft-skinned Landon. The fugitives exchanged a look and broke into satisfied smiles. What happened next, I don't know. The comments dissolved into a mess of garbled symbols, as if censored by some mysterious force. It was the next morning, when I got a call from the class president, that I found out something had happened at the campsite. Apparently, when the students woke up and it was time to assemble, they noticed Landon and my stepsister were missing. So they went to their tent to call them. When they got there, they found both of their hiking clothes and their underwear thrown outside the tent. And from the looks of it, Landon and my stepsister had slept in the same tent last night. A group of innocent high school students had never seen anything like it. They were so scared they ran away. The class president was furious. Realizing the graduation trip he had meticulously planned had become a venue for Landon's cheating, he decided he was done with them. So, the entire class left Landon and my stepsister behind and went to the summit to watch the sunrise as planned. When they returned, they found the tent was still silent and finally sensed something was wrong. A few of the boys lifted the tent flap and were immediately hit with the smell of blood. Things had gotten serious. The class president and the tour guide immediately called the police. 911 and the police arrived at the same time. I heard that Landon and my stepsister didn't have a single patch of unscathed skin on their bodies, as if they had suffered some inhuman treatment the night before. The comment section was silent. They probably never expected that the tragic fate meant for me had now befallen the main characters. With Ashley in such a state, my dad and stepmom were frantic, rushing to the hospital to be by her side. I took the opportunity to go back to the songhouse with my uncle and took care of some important business. While my dad was away, I I had everything from my mom's dowry moved back to my grandmother's house, leaving nothing behind. As for the stocks and savings my dad had secretly transferred to my stepmom and stepsister, my uncle had me sign a power of attorney so a lawyer could get them back for me. Thankfully, I was already 18. My mom had also made a notarized will before she died, which stated I was the sole legal heir to her dowry. My dad wanted to use my mom's dowry to secretly subsidize his new wife and her daughter. In his dreams, the day after I moved the dowry, my phone started ringing off the hook. My dad was on the line, impotently furious. "Anna Song, who gave you permission to steal things from the house? I'm giving you 1 day to bring everything back." I calmly retorted, "Were those things yours to begin with?" My stepmom was crying and pleading on the phone. "Anna, I've always treated you well all these years. Why would you send a lawyer after me?" I sneered. "Wendy, you've been living off my mother's dowry and serving me all these years. Isn't that what you should be doing? And as for why I sent a lawyer after you, you know damn well why. You have 3 days to return all of my mother's stocks, jewelry, and assets. Otherwise, I'll see you in court." My stepsister, after waking up in the hospital, also called me, sounding completely unhinged. "Anna Song, why? Why was it me who got by those people? Why wasn't it you?" Of course, I wasn't going to give her any ammunition. Who knew if she was secretly recording the call? "Ashley, what are you talking about? I don't understand a word you're saying. I heard you got hurt on the camping trip. Where were you injured?" The other end of the line was filled with ragged breathing, followed by the sound of a glass shattering. Hilarious. Of course Ashley wouldn't dare say where she was injured. A person as proud as her, now suffering the consequences of her own actions? She must be absolutely furious. Another person who was furious was Landon. He never imagined that among the men my stepsister had hired, there would be some who were into men. The arrogant Landon was thus violated by 2 men. I heard that when he was taken to the hospital, he had lost control of his bowels. TSK. I didn't expect that even after all that, Landon would still have the nerve to call me. "Anna Song, do you have any idea that because of having to accompany you on this graduation trip, Ashley's life is ruined? You have to take responsibility for this." "Oh, and how would you like me to take responsibility?" On the other end of the line, Landon seemed to assume that I would be as tolerant and fawning as I used to be, and he commanded me, "You go to the police station right now and confess. Say that the men who attacked Ashley were hired by you. Ashley is innocent. Tell the police to drop all investigations against her." Also, because of this incident, Ashley has suffered immense physical and psychological trauma. To comfort her, I've decided to marry her as soon as possible. "Anna Song, Ashley is in this state all because of you. To atone for your sin, you will split your mother's dowry in half and give it to Ashley as her wedding gift." Listening to Landon's shameless demands, I couldn't help but laugh. "Landon, I heard you and Ashley were assaulted in my tent. I'd like to know, why on earth were you and my sister, a man and a woman alone, in my tent in the middle of the night?" Landon was silent for a moment, then stammered defensively. "What are you talking about? Ashley and I, it's not what you think." "It doesn't matter anymore, Landon. We're breaking up." I interrupted his feeble excuses. There was another silence, and then Landon's voice came through, seething with anger. "Anna Song, are you saying you think I'm dirty now too?" If it had been the old me, no matter how hurt I was, I would have tried to save his pride. But now I couldn't help but sneer. "That's right. I think you're dirty. Landon, first you get with my stepsister, then you get with those men. You don't actually think I'd still want you after you've become this filthy, do you? But don't blame me. You should blame the person who brought those fugitives there in the first place. As for who that person is, I don't need to tell you. You know perfectly well yourself, don't you?" With that, I didn't hesitate. I hung up, deleted his number, and blocked him. Over the next few days, my dad and stepmom took turns calling me, one moment threatening, the next moment begging. They kept repeating the same thing. They wanted me to go to the police and confess, admitting I had hired the fugitives. That way, their precious daughter Ashley wouldn't be investigated any further. I didn't say yes and I didn't say no. I just strung them along, giving them a glimmer of hope so they wouldn't have time to look for other solutions. A few days later, my dad called me one last time. His voice was weak and exhausted, as if all his energy had been drained. "Anna Song, your sister has been detained by the police. Are you satisfied now? I just don't understand. Even if you and Ashley aren't blood sisters, you grew up together. Why would you do this to her?" I laughed. Did I do this to her, or did she do this to me? "Mr. Song, sometimes I really wonder if Ashley is your and Wendy's secret love child. Otherwise, why would you help someone else's daughter time and time again to frame your own flesh and blood?" My dad's breathing grew heavy as he scolded. "Anna Song, we are a family after all." "Not for long." "What do you mean?" "I mean, Mr. Song, I got into college. My uncle happened to buy me an apartment near the university, so I went ahead and transferred my household registration out of the Song family. From now on, you, Wendy, and Ashley, you are the real family." I hung up and proceeded to delete and block my dad as well. The next time I saw news of them, it was on the national news. It was summer vacation, and student safety was already a hot-button issue. What's more, this involved a group of recent high school graduates who were nearly harmed by a group of escaped convicts. Furious parents immediately demanded that the travel agency and the campsite be held accountable. The travel agency and campsite, in an effort to clear their names, practically reviewed every security camera along the route. Finally, a wildlife conservation camera installed on the mountaintop accidentally captured the transaction between Ashley and the fugitives. When Landon found out, he completely lost it. I heard he had originally hired an expensive legal team for Ashley. After the truth came out, he immediately dismissed them. He also announced that from that day forward, everything to do with Ashley had nothing to do with him. But he never expected that Ashley, hating him for abandoning her, would tell the police that Landon was also aware of the whole thing, and that the money used to bribe the escaped convicts was also from him. That's how I found out that Landon, who claimed to prefer independent and strong women, had secretly given my stepsister a supplementary card to his bank account. Sure enough, where the money goes, the love flows. But Landon probably never imagined that the supplementary card he gave my stepsister would be the very thing that sent him to jail. On suspicion of being an accomplice, Landon was quickly detained as well. I heard that during interrogation, they both blamed each other, desperately trying to shift the responsibility. Finally, the police found a video on my stepsister's phone that she had secretly recorded. The video clearly showed my stepsister telling Landon that she planned to hire some thugs to play a joke on me. Once my reputation was ruined, I would naturally be too ashamed to marry Landon. And Landon, despite knowing my stepsister was planning to harm me, did nothing to stop her, only lightly reminding her not to go too far. He actually condoned her plan to have me hurt. With this video, plus the supplementary card belonging to Landon, there was no way he could clear his name this time. Soon, the verdicts for Landon and Ashley came out. Ashley, as the mastermind, was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Landon, as an accomplice, was sentenced to 2 years. By then, I was already holding my acceptance letter and starting my life at my dream university. Not long after, I heard that because of his imprisonment, Landon was officially disinherited by his father. Mr. Liu had more than just Landon as an illegitimate son. All those other sons were vying for their father's attention. According to the original plot spoiled by the comments, after Landon let Ashley harm me, Ashley got her hands on my mother's huge dowry. It was because of this dowry that Landon was viewed favorably by his father, and eventually became the next head of the Liu Corporation. This time, thanks to the spoilers, I didn't obediently participate in that fatal graduation trip. The ones who fell victim to the conspiracy were them. Truly, what goes around comes around. Later, I heard that Landon tried to commit suicide in prison, crying and begging to see me one last time. I didn't go. As the victim, I have the right to choose never to forgive. For the rest of their lives, let him and Ashley rot in prison, hating each other. After it was all over, I looked up and saw that the comments, which had been gone for a long time, suddenly reappeared. Yes, the side character changed her fate. This is the kind of strong female lead story we want to see. I'm so sick of stories where the whole world has to burn for the main couple's love. Why should innocent bystanders suffer? The side character did an amazing job. Finally, the morally corrupt main characters are in jail. For that alone, I'm giving this book a perfect score. I secretly opened a bottle of premium liquor I had taken from the songhouse, filled a glass, cannon fodder side characters who changed their own fate. The end.